Good evening. It's 5:30 p.m. on Wednesday, December 13th. I'll call to order this regular meeting of the Cuyahoga Falls City School District Board of Education. Ms. Stoico, will you please call the roll?
Yes. Ms. Coco?
Here.
Mr. Gomez?
Here.
Mr. Harris?
Here.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Here.
Ms. White?
Here.
Thank you. Item B is approval of the agenda. Number 1 is a motion to approve the agenda. It's recommended the Board of Education approves the agenda of the December 13th, 2023 Board of Education meeting. Action by the Board of Education and adoption of a consent agenda means that all items are adopted by one singular motion unless a member of the Board of Education, treasurer, or superintendent requests that any such item be removed from the consent agenda and voted upon separately.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Ms. Coco?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Thank you. Item C is our opening ceremony. Number 1 is our informational items. This meeting is a meeting of the Cuyahoga Falls Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business. It is not a public community meeting, although there are opportunities for public participation. If an individual wishes to address the board regarding a topic found on the meeting agenda, the individual must complete a registration form found inside the attendance notebook and present it to the treasurer. Following the introduction of the topic by the board president, followed by board discussion, the individual will be recognized. If an individual wishes to address the board regarding a topic not found on the meeting agenda, they must notify the superintendent and/or board president of the topic no later than 3 business days in advance of the meeting. These individuals may share their comments during the board business portion of the agenda. In both cases, the individual will preface comments by announcement of their name and address and limit comments to 3 minutes. All statements should be directed to the board president. No person may address or question board members individually. In addition, in public session, the board will not hear complaints about school personnel nor against any person connected with the school system. An unabridged board agenda for this meeting can be found on your electronic device at the address shown on the screen. And for your convenience, hard copies of the board agenda may be found on the table by the sign-in book. The annual organizational meeting of the Cuyahoga Falls Board of Education is on January 3rd, 2024 at 5:30 p.m. right here in the Cuyahoga Falls High School Library. Now for our Pledge of Allegiance, and welcome, Dr. Salko.
Good evening. Please stand for the pledge if you're able. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome. Our vision is the Cuyahoga Falls City Schools, the hub of our community, committed to a culture of caring. We innovate, we create, we personalize education for all. Our mission, every student, every day, every opportunity. The board's strategic plan goals are as follows. School safety. We aspire to have a welcoming environment that ensures that the physical and social well-being needs of every student and staff member are met. Academic growth. We aspire to have significant growth through personalized education for all students. We aspire to improve graduation rates so that our students are prepared for employment, enrollment, or enlistment. Engagement, inclusion, and diversity. We will ensure that every student has access to resources they need when they need them in order to be successful. And technology and systems integration. We aspire to create safe, secure, and efficient technology systems to support high-quality teaching, learning, and district operations.
Thank you, Dr. Salka. Item D is our presentations tonight. We have 3 presentations. First is our Staff Star Award. I invite up Ms. Allison Bogdan.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Allison Bogdan. I'm the Director of Human Resources here, and it is my pleasure to stand up here and get to recognize our December Staff Shining Star. So just like you were nominated as Top Tigers, all the students that are here as Top Tigers, raise your hand. All right. We have a teacher this month that was nominated by 2 of her colleagues, and that's what's so much fun about this award and so impactful for that teacher is because they are nominated by their colleague. And the colleagues that nominated this month's Top Shining Staff Star, who is Ms. Stephanie Pettit. Where are you at? Get up here. Ms. Pettit has been with us for 29 years. Wow. She is a physical education teacher at Richardson Elementary. And I want to also invite up here the two people that nominated you so they can hear all about you. Mr. Lance Hahn, and I don't know, is Jessica Moore here tonight? That's okay. Lance, come on up here. And the person that wants to talk about you is the principal at Richardson Elementary, Ms. Julie Hall. So come on up, Julie. Thank you.
This is definitely long overdue. Stephanie is our PE teacher at Richardson. She is an absolutely amazing teacher in her classroom. Stephanie goes above and beyond the call of duty every day for her students. She is always looking for new and creative ways to have a positive learning experience in and out of the classroom. Her empathy, passion, and calming nature bring out the best in her students and her fellow colleagues. She creates elaborate games and activities that the students love, including bowling, golf, and everyone's favorite, Scooter City. She organizes a Heart Healthy Challenge, Field Day, and our school garden each year, spending countless hours on each. And this is a special year for Mrs. Pettit's Heart Health Challenge, as it is expected to raise over $100,000 since its inception at Richardson. Steph is a huge supporter of all students outside the classroom as well. She spends her evenings running from event to event, tennis matches, plays, football, and basketball games just to support her students. She goes out of her way to help students and families in need. She donates to causes, buys needed items for kids, sends gift cards or money to help with sick parents, students, etc. Steph can always be counted on to help. She does so much for so many of our students and families. She is definitely a shining star. Congratulations, Mrs. Pettit.
After 29 years. Hi. I love what I do. I love kids. I love being here. I've been here longer than I've been anywhere. So this is my home. I love my kids, even when they get big. See? So I'll always do my best to try and take care of all of you. Best I can. Thank you. Thank you. I don't know what else to say.
Dr. Selk and I recently visited Richardson, and we got to see bowling happening, and we learned about the bowling bookmark program in Mrs. Pettit's class. If they score a spare, they get a blue bookmark. If they score a strike, it's a yellow/gold bookmark. And she told us also that she had just recently been at a high school bowling match and recognized some of her former students that were on our high school bowling team. And they too remembered still those bowling bookmarks and were now high school bowlers on our varsity bowling team. So you can see that she really instills a love of the athletics in our students. So well deserved, Mrs. Pettit. Our second presentation is an awarding of a diploma. It's recommended the Board of Education grant a Cuyahoga Falls High School diploma to the following individual who has now completed requirements stated by the state of Ohio for high school graduation. Rebecca L. Petruska. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second from, who was the second? Ms. Coco. And I believe our graduate is here tonight. Is she here? Yes? No?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's it. Making her way up.
If you want to make your way forward over there, I'm going to make a couple remarks and then we'll vote to officially graduate you, and then we're going to give you your diploma. So she is what we call a 22 plus student. She didn't originally attend our district, but she currently lives in Cuyahoga Falls, and this is a really important program. It's a program that helps adults earn a high school diploma. It's free to any adults who are over 22 years old that live in Ohio but have not previously earned a diploma or GED, and it's completely free. And she came back to our school district through this program with the help of Stark State and the Graduation Alliance and finished the necessary coursework to become a graduate. And as we like to say in our school district, once a black tiger, always a black tiger, and we're very proud to get to count you amongst our Black Tiger alumni.
Well, thank you very much.
So, we will call the roll.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Ms. Coco?
Aye.
We have your diploma for you.
Thank you. This is crazy.
And we like to see your transcripts in here. We always want people to have some connection to being a Black Tiger, since they're Black Tigers. And our top Tigers will get it, but we want you to have it as well. To have a
Okay.
connection that you're a Black Tiger now.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
And now our third presentation is our top Tigers. So please take it away, Dr. Salika.
Right. Good evening. How's everybody? What is that? Children? What about you? You're top Tigers. How are you doing? Oh my gosh, that was worse than the first time. All right, I'm gonna move on. All right. Much better. All right, we'll keep going. All right, I'm really distracted by this cute little baby up front. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'll try to focus. All right, well, good evening. As Mr. Gomez says, I'm Andrea Solico. I'm the superintendent of schools, and happy to see all of you here this evening, so thank you for coming out. I know this is a very busy time of the year. Let me tell you just briefly about Top Tiger. So anyone have a sibling or another child that was a Top Tiger before? All right, great. You can come up here and explain it then, right there. You wanna come up and talk about it? I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding. All right. He was ready. All right. All right. Well, Top Tiger is an award given by the Board of Education to students from each building each month. These students are chosen by various staff members in their buildings. I get the distinct honor of reading about each one of them. I am going to ask that when I announce the student's name, now students, this is where you have to listen, you're going to come forward, okay, that means you're going to come up here, and you're going to stand right here, and I'm going to read some remarks about you, and I believe, who's helping me this evening? Mrs. Schaefer is going to hand you a lot of goodies, and you're going to hear a little bit more about that when Mr. Metcalf comes up. But afterwards, and we should have said this to Ms. Pettit, we're going to get your picture, if you could just stick around, across the way in the cafeteria. We have a backdrop, and we'll get pictures of our whole Top Tiger group. You also will have an opportunity to take individual photos should you choose, okay?
And
So,
pictures behind you.
oh, yes, I forgot. Mrs. Stewart threw that in. Miss Stewart threw that in. So there'll be a student, so you'll come here, you will get your things, and then you'll come right back here to Miss Stewart, and then you'll go back to your seat, and then afterwards you'll go to the cafeteria. Let's see how we can follow all those directions. All right. I would also like to add that there are many partners in this process, and there's many generous community sponsors, including our Cuyahoga Falls Schools Foundation and Alumni Association, and I'd like to thank them for all that they do in helping our board recognize our top students. At this time, I'm going to have Mr. Metcalf come up and talk about, he's the executive director of the foundation. He's just going to say a little bit more, and then we'll get started. Thanks, Mr. Metcalf.
Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations, all the award winners tonight. The graduate back there. You can see me afterwards and join the Alumni Association. Few things about the Cuyahoga Falls Schools Foundation. We've been around since 1983, started out with one scholarship. Last year, we awarded over 25 scholarships. In the past 10 years, we've awarded over $1 million worth of scholarships. We also do teacher grants. In the past 10 years, over $45,000 teacher grants to help the teacher buy supplies for the classroom. A few of our sponsors are Donato's Pizza. In your goodie bag, you'll get a little certificate for a free pizza. Dietz's Florist, Carnation. And I will be giving you a Top Tiger t-shirt this evening. When you go next door across the hall to get your picture taken, see me at the table and I'll get you one of these Top Tiger t-shirts. You can wear it to school. And in May, we march in the Memorial Day Parade. We would like you to join us in the Memorial Day Parade. Parents are allowed also. And we also help out with different reunions. Check out our website and you can see what we do. Thank you so much and congratulations.
And as an added bonus, get to bring one of these home. This is compliments of our Teachers Union, Cuyahoga Falls Education Association. I believe our president, Mrs. Carlisle, is back there, so thank you. I know that we greatly appreciate that, and I know it's fun to have that in your front yard, so, or in a window, whatever you prefer. All right. Boys and girls, are you ready? Yeah? All right. How should we start this evening? The same way I do reverse. Who said that? Reverse alphabet. Oh, Mr. Dolka. No, we're going in regular. All right. But thanks for the suggestion. All right. First, we will start with DeWitt Elementary. Our first student, now let's see, we've got to follow all those directions. Pressure's on. Pray on Rye. So far, so good. All right. All right. Prayan began the year truly ready to give his best and has only proven this with his consistent effort and responsibility. Prayan not only has strong excellence in academics, he also displays behavior that is a wonderful example of Black Tiger pride behavior. He knows that his hard work is the driving force behind his achievement. Prayan is also a valuable helper to his classmates and teachers, and he displays kindness to everyone. For these reasons, Prayan is a wonderful leader who sets a positive example to those around him. He truly deserves this award. Congratulations. All right, next from DeWitt, we have Lillian Redfern. Lillian enters the room each day bright and happy with a smile on her face. Her positive attitude shines throughout the day in every class with an eagerness to learn. She has become a leader in the 4th grade by participating and being an excellent behavior role model to her peers. Striving to do her best, Lillian takes initiative to further her learning by going above and beyond and asking for help when needed. Lillian is always willing to lend a helping hand to those in need, and we are grateful to work with her each day. All right, we are moving on to Lincoln. Ready? Our first student is Jaden Dreyer. Got a roadblock there, huh? Jaden is a top Tiger. She is a pleasure to have in class. She is a quiet leader in the classroom. She helps everyone and is kind to all of her teachers and classmates. She has worked so hard to improve her reading. She has come so far in the short time her teachers have had her. She continues to shine in math class. Mrs. Zelenka, Miss Lovelace, and Mrs. Bullock all adore having Jaden in class and can't wait to see what else she is able to accomplish this year. No goal is too much for this girl. That's what they said. Oh, I think I know this next student. He better know me. Mr. Dolka, your twin is coming up, Emmanuel Laban. You'll see why. Mr. Dolka, why did I say he's your twin? I just said to Mr. Dolka the other day, I said, Mr. Dolka, I haven't seen you in your bow ties lately. So I just get to see one today. Thank you. Look at that. You know who Mr. Dolka is? He's the principal at Silver Lake. He wears bow ties a lot. You look very nice. Do you remember me now? Okay. From where? What were you doing? Yes. He was getting to play principal for the day at Lincoln, and we all signed up. Some of us as administrators signed up for little slots of time with our students, and so I got to walk around with Emmanuel, and we got to do like walkthroughs, right, and check people out. Yep, make sure kids were behaving in the cafeteria. We got to see secret spots in the school, like teacher's lounge. Ooh, that's exciting. So he got to do that, right? All sorts of stuff. All right, Emmanuel, enough talking. All right. Yes, right. It's really not that exciting. Okay, Emmanuel comes to school every day ready to work. He is an example of Black Tiger Pride daily. He is always respectful to the adults and peers at Lincoln Elementary. He works hard and takes responsibility for his actions and schoolwork. He is always safe in his classroom, hallways, and playground. Emmanuel works very hard and continues to grow every day as a Black Tiger. He is a true Lincoln leader. When Emmanuel is not at Lincoln, he enjoys playing sports, doing his homework, and playing with his sister. Now, are you from Haiti? Is that where I remember? Yes, he's from Haiti, and you just joined us last year? That's wonderful, so congratulations. That's great. All right, our next student from Preston is Jack Fierst. Jack? Hey, Jack, what if I would have said Jack Frost? That would have been kind of fun at this time of the year, huh? I almost did. All right. Mrs. Just says that Jack is a natural-born leader in all the best ways. He is a positive role model for the students and shows Black Tiger pride each and every day. Jack isn't afraid to ask questions in class and is always very quick to help and encourage others. Jack is one of those dependable students who you know is doing the right thing even when no one is looking. Awesome. Great work, Jack. Keep it up. All right, our next student is Renata Lizola Garibaldi. Cute, all right. Mrs. Wilson says that Renata is the most positive, hardworking person she knows. Renata is always open to learning new things, and she welcomes help from others when she needs it. Renata has such a positive attitude each and every day, and when something is hard for her, she keeps that amazing smile on her face and works through it. Renata also shows kindness and respect to everyone. She cares for others and is an absolute joy to be around. Congratulations, Renata. Next, we have Price Sauger DeCall. Sauger displays, you look very nice, displays the wonderful traits of a top Tiger every day. Academically, he is an honor student and always works hard to do his best. Sauger is a leader in and out of the classroom. He is patient, kind, and caring to his classmates, and students respect him. His leadership abilities shine each day. He is very deserving of the Top Tiger Award, and his teachers are so proud of him. Congratulations, Sauger. Next, we have from Price, Danica Jovanovic. Congratulations. The fourth grade team is pleased to announce Danica as the top Tiger for fourth grade. Danica consistently stands out for her hard work and love of learning. She's always on top of her schoolwork, and she's a willing participant in class discussions. She definitely enhances group discussion through her thoughtful and insightful comments and opinions. Danica is also known for her kindness and willingness to help others. She sets a great example for her classmates with her positive attitude and dedication to doing her best. Congratulations, Danica, on this well-deserved recognition for your outstanding efforts and contributions. You know, sometimes I forget to, in fact, oftentimes I forget to say this, but it reminded me today as I see teachers out in our audience today that I appreciate our teachers coming out to recognize our students as well. So thank you for being here, and your colleagues for Ms. Pettit, et cetera. So that's great. All right, We are at, up to R with Richardson, and our first student is Carson Coffran. Very serious. Gonna have that smile. Congratulations there. All right, we are proud to nominate Carson as our top Tiger. He is a very kind student who works very hard every day. He perseveres when content is challenging and loves to learn new things. He is also a model student who is on task and ready to participate in class each day. Carson shows his kindness to others daily and is well loved by his classmates and teachers. Congratulations, Carson. Next, we have Elena Di Liberto. Elena is a wonderful student on the inside and out. She demonstrates Black Tiger pride each day. She has a very kind heart and is willing to help out in the classroom. Elena is a positive and cheerful, and she is always wearing a smile. Yeah, you are. That's true. Check. All right. Elena focuses on her academics as well, demonstrating her best effort each day. Elena loves to be creative, draw, paint, and listen to music. She loves to participate in group activities. Recently, she participated in Girls on the Run, completing a 5K with her peers. Is that the shirt? All right. No. Oh. All right, nice. 5K, that's impressive. Elena is a hard worker and works to reach the finish line in all that she does. Congratulations on being this month's top Tiger. All right, the last elementary, which is why Mr. Dolka wanted to go in reverse order, but we're going to end with Silver Lake. Maybe I'll change it up one time. I'll really confuse you guys. Our first student is Benjamin McKinney. All right, Benjamin is new to Silver Lake this year and has been a joyful addition to our building. His specialist teachers love having him in their classes. He is a team player, a hard worker, a great listener, and a kind friend. He does everything with a positive attitude and a smile on his face. Good work, Benjamin. All right, our next student is Lola Wenhart. All right, Lola is such a joy to have in music, PE, and art. She is always excited about learning and participates with so much enthusiasm. Lola is creative, kind, loyal, and hardworking. She makes our day better as her teachers. Great job, Lola. All right, we're moving on to our middle school students. We'll start with Bolick. Our first student is Sean Burns. All right, Sean is a young man who has a phenomenal work ethic. He is a conscientious student who does his best at all times and is eager to learn new things. He is thoughtful in his responses to questions and shows his ability to think outside the box through his asking of questions to gain new knowledge or understanding of a concept. His actions allow others to be inspired by his tenacity to gain understanding of the world around him and his place in it. He is a leader by example rather than his words. His actions speak volumes about his desire to work hard, cooperate with others, and find joy in the world around him. That was very nice. Congratulations. All right, our next student is Madeline Fogel. The 7th grade team is certainly proud of Maddie and her ability to be a role model in the classroom. Maddie is a straight-A student who shows eagerness to learn. She is engaged in the classroom and is glad to participate and share her knowledge. She is the model student completing assignments on time and striving to do her best each day. She exemplifies Black Tiger pride through the kindness and respect she shows to her fellow classmates. It is evident through her actions that she takes responsibility, pride, and joy in her learning. The 7th grade team is truly honored to have a student like Madison Fogel. Madeline, sorry. I was distracted, sorry. Madeline. All right, Roberts. We have Selena Lingdon. Selena's not here. Let's hear about Selena. Selena is a perfect example of what a student athlete should be. Selena participates in dance and is on the volleyball team while maintaining excellent grades. During class time, you will find Selena working hard on constructing thorough answers and encouraging her classmates. Selena is kind to everyone and is a supportive friend. Selena is such a hard worker who sets goals for herself and shows up every day with a positive mentality. Selena's future is bright. All right, next we have Lucas Sheehan. Lucas. Congratulations. Lucas is unique in the fact that he is true to himself. His teachers love the confidence that Lucas exudes at school. He is always willing to be a part of any group and consistently participates in class discussions. When Lucas leaves the classroom, he always says, "I hope you have a great day." For an 8th grade student, Lucas demonstrates empathy beyond his years towards his classmates and teachers. He is very genuine and humble. We are looking forward to the amazing things he will do at the high school. All right, rounding third into home with our high school students. Our first one is Matthew Allport. Matthew, what was that character's name that you played?
Lord Farquaad.
Yes, I can't say it. Lord, I know. I just remember, I just was amazed by that. When I saw him not long ago, right? What did I say to you? Do you remember? Oh, wait, last time I did that, that was not a good thing to ask the children what I said to them. You all weren't here for that, but the superintendent got roasted by a student. So let's try this again. This was an innocent, so I'm safe. What did I say to you? I asked you a question. Remember? Did your knees hurt?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because he was a character and he was on his knees the entire time because he's a short guy that he played. And I was like, that looks very painful, especially at my age. I can't do that. But he was amazing in that play. So Matthew is an outstanding role model for his peers at Cuyahoga Falls High School. This year in Honors ELA 12, Matthew has demonstrated a consistent work ethic. He is polite, respectful, and an active participant during class discussions. Matthew loves to look at both sides of an issue, to challenge the ideas of others, and to dig deep in his analysis of literature. In this way, Matthew always works on refining his critical thinking and communication skills. Matthew's creativity knows no limits, and he is a born performer. Whether he is owning his role as Shakespeare's ambition-hungry Macbeth during class time or dazzling the audience with his comical portrayal of Peter and the Starcatcher's Black Stash. On stage in the Little Theater, Matthew is the epitome of Black Tiger pride. Congratulations. All right, last of the evening is Kaya Matthew. All right, Kaya decided to challenge herself this year by taking her first ever Honors ELA course here at the high school. She is an active participant and is always kind and respectful of the opinions of her classmates. Kaya understands the importance of interpersonal communications for success in life. As a member of the Tiger Times school newspaper staff, Kaya not only continues to reflect growth, detail, and creativity in her writing, but she also is incredibly dedicated to the program and consistently willing to help others with their various responsibilities. She is personable, respectful, and committed. These 3 traits have helped her be a part of the rebirth of the journalism program at the high school. Even more so, though, they are characteristics that will help her find academic, personal, and professional success as she continues to grow older. What grade are you in? Senior. Oh, and there we go. We're about to start our journey, right? Congratulations. All right. All right, we got them all. All right. What I'd like to do before we, as I had mentioned, students, we're going to go across the hall and get our pictures taken. But I just want to take a moment to thank all of you who are here today supporting your children. We know that this isn't a coincidence that students are recognized, right? That work comes from you and your homes and the upbringing that you are providing for your children. So congratulations to all of you. All right, and with that, we will make our way across to the cafeteria. Thank you.
Those are not my Christmas ones.
Okay, ready for presentation number 4, student services, and Mrs. Merkel is here.
Good evening. Thank you for having me here tonight. I'll provide a few updates on our Success and Wellness programming. Just to orient you to the folders in front of you, on the left-hand side is just a PowerPoint that I'll be sharing with you tonight. And then on the right-hand side are just a few handouts that I'll reference throughout the presentation. And then the little baggies I gave you were made by our Sources of Strength students. They passed out during Tiger Time to our 9th and 10th graders, but wanted you all to have one as well. So just one example of some of the campaigns they're doing throughout the school. All right, so tonight we're gonna have 3 primary topics. First, we'll talk about the Panorama Student Survey results. We'll follow up on our Rethink Ed and talk about how implementation is going. And then we'll end with Success and Wellness programming and some expenditures. There's some new rules that have been put in place, so just want to make sure that we provide that information to you all. So we'll start with our Panorama survey results, and you'll see I have sprinkled pictures throughout this presentation because I think it's important to kind of bring the programming to life, that you can see what's actually going on in our buildings versus me just standing up here and talking. So this first picture is one of our middle school rocks groups, and I'll talk a little bit more about rocks later in the presentation, but one of the reasons we brought rocks to Cuyahoga Falls was we noticed our panorama results for our young ladies really dropped off when they hit middle school and high school. And so that was one of the reasons we felt like it was really important to bring this programming to the district, and it's showing outstanding results, which we'll talk about.
And that's in all 3 buildings now, right?
Roberts, Bullock, and the high school.
Yes.
Yep.
It was just in the high school last year, wasn't it?
It was in all 3.
It was on all 3 last year, okay.
Yep. All right, so our Panorama Student Survey, we administered the same survey we have done for the past 2 years. For our new folks, we administer it twice a year. First one is in the fall, right after the first quarter. Second administration is right before spring break. Our students answer 31 or 34 questions, depending on their age, and these are the 5 domains are listed on the screen that we ask questions surrounding, and we chose that several years ago because they most closely align to our Ohio SEL standards. So these are our results for our fall survey administration for grades 3 through 5. And just a reminder, each survey question is answered on a 5-point Likert scale. So students who rate themselves a 4 or 5 on that question, Panorama considers that rating themselves favorably. So when you see these percentage points in the middle here, that's the percentage of students who rated themselves favorably. So you'll see the first column is the domain and a little description about what those questions are asking. Again, that second column is the percentage of students that rated themselves favorably. And right below that percentage point is how that compares to the last survey administration. And then the final piece is how we compare to other students who answered these same questions nationally. So that's one of the things that we really like about Panorama, and one of the reasons we chose it is because it gives some context for what does it mean 48% of our students rated themselves favorably. Is that good? Is that bad? So this helps us kind of understand where our students fall compared to other students across the country. So I'll briefly go through these. This probably looks familiar because I think I share these same slides every administration. But for our challenging feelings, 48% of our students rated themselves favorably. This is grades 3 through 5 again. No change from the spring, and that put us in the 30th percentile nationally. For emotion regulation, 44% of students rated themselves favorably, a little bump, 3% from the spring administration. And that puts us in the 40th percentile. It's sort of interesting. They still have us red on here, but we really actually should be bumped up. So I'm not exactly sure how that all happens, but if you go into the platform, it has us at 40% nationally. For positive feelings, 69% of our students rated themselves favorably, a 3% increase, and that puts us at 60% nationally. 60th percentile, excuse me. For self-management, 71% rated favorably, no change from the spring, and that puts us in the 50th percentile. And then finally, social awareness, 70% of students rated themselves favorably, a 3% increase, and that puts us at a 70th percentile nationally, so pretty high nationally.
I have a question.
Sure.
Are there any things, like, as you get these results in, are there any, and maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, so if I am, say that too, but are there, like, on the areas where you see growth, when you get these results, and are there things that we've done since the last administration that when you get them in, you're like, oh, I feel like this is the thing that is helping make a difference. You know, like, you, as the person kind of leading these initiatives, you feel like, oh yes, I feel like because of certain work we're doing, I think this is making a difference here.
Yes, and I think a
And
future.
you're probably going to talk about, but I just wondered if that.
Yeah, those are definitely part of the conversations. I think a future slide might answer some of that question, but we can dive a little deeper if it
thank
doesn't.
you.
So very pleased with our secondary results. Lots of green here. These haven't always looked so nice. So for our challenging feelings, 48% of our students rated themselves favorably, a nice 6-point jump. Still puts us in the 30th percentile, so certainly some ongoing work to do there, but we're glad we're trending in the right direction. Emotional regulation, 45% rated themselves favorably, up 2%, and that puts us in the 50th percentile. Positive feelings, 59%, that's up 5 percentage points from the spring, and puts us in the 60th percentile nationally. Self-management, 70% rated themselves favorably, 2% up from spring, and puts us in the 40th percentile. And social awareness, 60% of the students rated themselves favorably, puts us in the 20th percentile. I dug a little deeper because if you go back to our elementary, maybe, we're like 70th percentile or something. I said, how did we go from 70th percentile to 20th? What I figured out was when you pull out the elementary students and you just look at secondary students, compare our secondary students to other secondary students, we're actually in the 70th percentile. So it's a little misleading because these factor in all students, grades 3 through 12, when really it's not necessarily comparing apples to apples, if that makes sense. Oh my goodness. I do not do well with these clickers. All right, so I know one of the things we really wanted to take a look at was cohort data. So we pulled that information, and tonight really hope to focus on 3 cohorts. You'll find in your packet there's information for all cohorts, grades 3 through 12. But for the purposes of this presentation, we thought we'd kind of narrow the focus, and then certainly we can follow up at the end if you guys have any questions about the other cohorts. So you'll see each of the cohorts has information about the 5 administrations, and the domains are color-coded. So in this case, the top line is self-management, the middle line is social awareness, the green line is positive feelings, and then the blue line is emotion regulation, and then that last line, the orange line, is challenging feelings. So the interesting thing about our seniors here is they kind of mimic what the rest of the district looks like. Some ups and downs throughout the years, but certainly not the progress that we would like to see across the board.
Can you just remind, fall we administer October, and spring what month do we usually administer them?
Right before spring break.
So
March. Yeah.
So that could affect things too, because of the darkness, and
Yes.
we're right before spring, so.
Yes. Yep.
just
And I
physiologically.
Yes, I actually asked Panorama that question last spring because I started to notice a trend that every spring our results were a little down, and they said that is typical across the nation. For those spring survey results tend to be a little bit lower than the fall. So. Our next cohort is 2027, so this is our freshmen. We thought it was important to look at those transition years, right? To really get a gauge of how are our students doing as they transition to a new building. And I'm happy to report both 6th and 9th grades seem to report that they're doing okay. If you look at self-management, for example, that's up a little bit. Social awareness and positive feelings kind of stayed the same, and then we had some nice growth at the bottom there for challenging feelings and emotion regulation. So again, maybe not the great growth that we would like, but certainly our students don't seem to be suggesting that they're really struggling with that transition to the new building. A similar trend with our 6th graders. You'll see actually some really nice growth during this fall administration compared to the spring. Our self-management really went up to 72%. Same with our challenging feelings, had a nice growth there to 54%. And then our emotion regulation went up to 44%. So happy to see that our 6th graders, at least according to how they're reporting on the panorama results, that they're doing okay. So we thought we might just provide a higher level summary for Panorama. There is all kinds of information. You can really get into the weeds. But for the purposes of this presentation, we thought we'd go high level, and then certainly if there's additional information you all would like, we can get that for you. But similar patterns across the cohorts. I sort of mentioned this. Self-management across all the cohorts was rated as the highest domain. Challenging feelings and emotion regulation were rated as the lowest domains. And then again, we saw sort of positive trends for those students in the transition years of 9th and 6th grade. Last year, you may or may not remember, but when we presented this information in the spring, we had really dug a little deeper with DLT, looking at each domain and the strengths and weaknesses in each domain, like the question that students scored the highest and the lowest. And we also did that with our school social workers and school counselors and our whole child team. And so 3 areas really came to highlight that we need to address these. First was students not feeling safe. The second was students could not identify their feelings. They didn't have the language to even identify their feelings. And then that emotion regulation, not having the skills to manage themselves. So we circle back around to this fall administration, and I have some good news to report. In terms of students feeling safe, there was a 6% increase both with our elementary students and our secondary students. So we went up to 54% for our 3th through 5th graders, and then 39% for our 6th through 12th graders. So again, still need some ongoing work. We're not suggesting that that's where we want to be, but glad that we're at least trending in a positive direction. The next piece is students being able to describe their feelings. We talk a lot about this with our school counselors and school social workers. If they can't describe how they're feeling or know how they're feeling, it's really hard for them to be able to learn those skills to regulate. So we as a team just really decided that's where we were going to start this year, and we'll talk about that when we dive into Rethink Ed. But just, this was given in October, and students already reported an increase. A 6% increase with our elementary folks in being able to identify their feelings. No change with our middle school and high school folks, but that's okay, we'll keep working. And then in terms of anxiety, I wanted to highlight this piece because we know nationally our kids are struggling with anxiety. It's not just our kids, it's all over the nation. And we showed some nice growth with our secondary students, an 8% increase in them feeling less anxious. So again, heading in the right direction. Unfortunately, no change for our elementary folks, but again, an ongoing area that we plan to target. So thinking about what does all of this mean for our ongoing work. The first 2 years, we really tried to zoom out a little bit and look at the results from a big picture. What do we need tier 1? How can we put supports in place and really tackle where there's gaps? And so I think we've been able to do a lot of that work, adding social workers, adding Red Oak, adding another school counselor. Not to say that that work is done, but I think we've really been able to beef up our tier 1 and really continue to have those folks focus on helping our students learn to label their emotion and regulate and develop the skills to cope with things as they're happening. So that's certainly something that we plan to continue to address. We know we can't tackle everything, so we're really trying to do the best we can to tackle what we feel are the priorities right now, versus just trying to go all over the place and not do anything well. And then the second piece of this really is trying to increase the use of the student level data. So the first 2 years we dabbled in that a little bit, but this year we're really trying to make more of an effort to use that data when we're sitting as a team and talking about how we can support students or setting up small groups. Then it's not just someone's opinion of who needs what. It's actually the students have a voice in how they're feeling, and we can use that to incorporate how we're setting up some tier 2 and tier 3 supports. So that's sort of, I don't know if that helps answer your question, Mr. Gomez.
No, I appreciate that, and I think some of the work we have to do too is changing our adult perceptions of kids as well, because I think there's a lot of adult perceptions that exist that, you wouldn't think that primary school students would suffer with severe anxiety. But before COVID, and certainly post-COVID, we're seeing that, an epidemic of anxiety in young children. I have to say, with my family, we have a second grader who goes to Lincoln, that's my nephew, who suffers from severe anxiety. And I at one time would say, what could a second grader be anxious about? But yet, we see the impact in our own family of what that is and how much that affects him and everything that he does. And it's devastating, but you have to change your adult perceptions about what those things are, because if you are just insistent that a second grader shouldn't be anxious, you're never going to address the fact that a second grader is anxious. And I think as a district we have to do some work on that and change our adult perceptions of that, and what that looks like and what is acceptable and what are our interventions and what do we permit in our classrooms. And we have work to do on that adult perception as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just 2 more things I want to point out about Panorama. We've been able each year to just kind of integrate it a little bit more into some things we're doing. So I know Mr. Lazar and I just had some conversation about integrating it with some of our ICS work. And then I just thought this was a neat example. The Tiger Crew came to me this summer and said, hey, would we be able to look at some of the 8th grade data to help us plan for freshman orientation? So we certainly didn't give them any student level data, but we were able to give them what the 8th grade data looked like, and then they were able to kind of plan around that. So just some neat ways that we can continue to integrate and use the data. So we're going to skip through slides 11 through 17. Again, we can certainly come back to them if you would like. But that is the rest of the cohort data. And we'll move into Rethink Ed implementation. So we left off in May when you all graciously approved our Rethink Ed contract. And fast forward into the summer, July, August, we had a kickoff with our K-8 principals for them to kind of learn the platform, understand what resources are available, and ask questions. Beyond that, we met with our K-8 school counseling and social work team to really start diving into our district data to develop our scope and sequence. So keep in mind, one of the things we really like about Rethink Ed is that we can develop our own scope and sequence based on our kids' needs. A lot of the other SEL curriculums, you kind of get a standard packaged scope and sequence, but this we could really tailor and customize to our district needs. So we've really focused on Q1 and decided we would come back in November, kind of regroup, see how things went, and then develop the scope and sequence for the rest of the year. So I'll talk about that in a second. But also in August, Rethink Ed came in and provided some professional development for our operations staff and with our paraprofessionals. So that was a nice supplement and way to kick off the programming. Moving into September, our K-8 counseling team really began their classroom lessons, and we had a little snafu with getting integration for all of our staff, but we finally, thanks to Mr. Hutch and Ms. Shaw, we were finally able to figure all of that out. And so all of the Rethink Ed resources were shared with our staff members. So every staff member has a login and access to the platform. And our school counselors really took the lead in sharing that information with their buildings. And then moving to November, I spoke of the PD day. We spent the whole PD day looking at panorama data, and then again, revisiting our scope and sequence with Rethink Ed and developing the scope and sequence for the rest of the year. So I'll draw your attention to the first handout in the left side of your folder. So this first page is just a great example of what we did in September. I said this, I think, several times tonight. Our kids are struggling to label their feelings, identify their feelings. They don't have the language. So we decided as a team that was where we were going to start. And the first quarter was going to be all about emotions, helping students identify what they are and label emotions in themselves and others. So you'll see the second column here is the lesson name for the lesson that the counselors were going to deliver, and then the rest of the chart is optional lessons for teachers. The platform has a whole bunch of resources, and so just to give someone a login and say, "Have at it," we felt like would be too overwhelming, especially with all the other new resources and things they're trying to manage. So we thought offering some suggested lessons might help them try it out and get familiar with it. So you'll see with September, the column of learning skills, this is really just about helping kids reacclimate back to school and remember what it means to be a student and how to learn. So I won't go through it page by page, but you will see semester one really is about feelings, which seems really basic, but we felt as a team that's just really where we needed to start. And then semester two, when we revisited our panorama data, we felt we could move on to some of that skill building during semester two, helping them with social skills and problem solving and conflict resolution, self-care, things like that. So this is something we can adapt each year. We'll revisit it at the end of the year. But so far, I've generally received positive results from our counselors who are implementing the lessons.
I just know this month we're doing Aaron's Law, which is a legal piece. I heard from a couple parents, because we sent out the notifications to parents as part of the law, the awareness, and a couple parents were kind of startled because it's a new thing this year. And I know that I heard from a couple parents that reached out and were very appreciative of how responsive whoever it is they reached out to, they got back to them and immediately sent them the lesson, and it made the parents feel very comfortable. And so kudos to everyone with those communications. I think we do that very well. There's a lot of talk in Columbus about like parental transparency, but I think the reality is, like, in school districts like ours, like, it exists and we do it very well, and we are excited when parents want to know about these lessons because it enables them to also then have those conversations with their students about these things that are very important, and then the parents are learning about it as well. And also, I'm looking through one of my nephew's folders, I saw that it was like the day that they had talked about this, and I just kind of said, you know what, and he told me about what they talked about, and he said it was a really good lesson.
Oh, good.
And he said, I'm in charge of my own body, and that even means, he goes, that means hugs too. I don't have to hug people if I don't want to. And like,
Christy and I are on that wavelength.
and he felt empowered by it. So
Great.
I really do think, and when we were at Richardson, we overheard part of a class hearing about it. And so I know it's a legal piece, but it's also really important information. I think it's another way that we we're making our students feel empowered in their own bodies and in their own selves. And I do think that goes a long way in terms of feeling strong in yourself, which helps them feel positive emotions as well.
Absolutely. Yep. I was going to talk about this a little bit later, but I'll just, since we're on the topic, I had over 100 caregivers reach out to me wanting to preview the curriculum, and only 8 opted out after seeing it. In general, I got really nice responses back. Like, this is great content. Thank you so much. We're so glad you're doing this. I think the language that the law has is a little startling to parents, but then once they saw what we're actually teaching, they were really appreciative. So, all right. Just one last thing I wanted to note. I missed when I was talking about this timeline. Our 9-12 counseling team is also doing the Aaron's Law lessons. So they had a demo of the platform and all of that on November 7th as well, and then they will be implementing in January. All right, so we'll move on to the success and wellness piece of things. I'm sure you, well, maybe you're aware, there were some changes in what needs to be reported to you all. So I'm hoping that the information I provide fulfills that, but if not, certainly I'm happy to come back and bring some more information. I know we've sort of been doing this already. We were kind of ahead of the game in our reporting, but we'll do it formally now, and I'll dive a little bit deeper into the buckets of money that we're using. So I did not create this paragraph for this presentation. This is actually the goals we've submitted for the past 2 years for our end of the year reporting on success and wellness. I feel like it still embodies the work that we're doing. So rather than create something else, I just thought I would put this up on the screen and highlight just a couple words that are bolded, that we aim to positively impact academic and social emotional outcomes by supporting the whole child, a focus on tiered, comprehensive mental health support, focus on DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, as well as trauma-informed schools, and that our counseling and social work team will provide whole child supports and really tackle some of the issues that our district's struggling with, such as chronic absenteeism and graduation rates. And I threw in my little wellness image that I created last year because I think it really encompasses what we're trying to do with success and wellness, and not having trauma-informed practices be in a silo over here and social emotional learning be over here. They really, in prevention and mental health, they all overlap and come together in the middle for student wellness.
You're being humble, but when you submitted this to the state, they liked it so much that they asked you to use it in a training material for other folks around the state and how to compose this for their submission. So you're literally the statewide leader in how to do this.
Thank you. They called, I thought I was in trouble. I said, Kenneth, will you call with me? I think we're in trouble. So I'm going to use some initials moving forward. So I just want to, for everyone to make sure we're on the same page. So DPIA is Disadvantaged Pupil Impact Aid, and SWSF is Student Wellness and Success Fund. So those are new pieces of and Chrissy could probably speak to this better than I can, but the new funding formula. So Success and Wellness used to be a bucket of money that we got kind of separate. And then with the new funding formula, it's all part of the general fund. Did I speak? Yep. Okay. So you'll see those initials plus the old bucket of money because we still have some left. So when talking about our plan to use the money, there's kind of two pieces to it. First is the personnel, and then the second is the programming. So we spend a good chunk of our money employing the right people who can then implement the programming. So for personnel, we pay for our 11 school counselors, our behavior specialists, our success and wellness coordinator, our 3 school social workers, our new attendance liaison, and then I included Red Oak Behavioral Health. They do not cost us any money. They bill the district, they bill the caregivers insurance, but they are an important part of our success and wellness programming and our tiered supports, and so I did want to include them related to personnel. You'll see that Success and Wellness grant, that's that old bucket of money, I believe has to be spent down by the end of fiscal year 25. So I'm paid for out of that, and then our school social workers will be after ESSER is exhausted. And Christy, you can correct me if I'm misspeaking. Okay. All right. And the other thing I just wanted to point out with Success and Wellness is, I've said this in previous presentations, but I just want to reinforce it. Like, we really are trying to make sure that our supports are embedded and interconnected to what's going on in the district, and they're not just siloed as something else, but just part of, you know, kind of how we do business in the district. So moving into programming, again, you're going to see some things on here that aren't directly paid for out of Success and Wellness funding, but are part of the larger programming. So we just spend a significant amount of time talking about Rethink Ed. It's paid for out of Stronger Connections grant. ICS continues to be paid for out of Success and Wellness grant, that old bucket of money. Panorama, iCare mentoring. Last year it was free. We pay a small portion of it this year. Rolling Our Experiences, and after school programming. So I'm gonna bump back up to iCare mentoring because I just wanna.
I was just gonna ask you, he was asking me how many mentors we have, because I know it's grown.
Yep.
And how many pairs, if you could just, say that.
So our goal is 25 by the end of the year. We have 5 that are actively up and running, and then we have 8 more that are just about ready to start. Waiting on some permission slips and things like that. So we're hoping then second semester will be really close to that goal of 25. I also wanted to just highlight Rolling Our Experiences. I mentioned it at the beginning of the presentation. I can draw your attention to the second handout in your folder there. We had incredible outcomes after just 1 year of this program in our district. When I met with their national folks, they said, you know, we always see nice positive outcomes, but your district was abnormal of how well your girls responded. So some things they really saw as areas of strength. We had significant improvement in increasing a sense of belonging, the students reporting improved emotion regulation and stress management, and then being able to identify a supportive adult. So we know all of those things are critical to students being successful in school. So super happy and grateful that the district allows us to run this program in Cuyahoga Falls. We had 85 girls participate last school year. We have 57 currently participating, but more groups will start second semester. And then finally, just wanted to highlight after-school programming. That is paid for through 21st Century Community Learning Grants. That money does not come to us as a district, but we did work with both the Boys and Girls Club and Riverfront YMCA to help them write their grant and provide ongoing data so that they can meet their requirements for their grants. So currently, both programs have about 90 students, so about 180 students receive free after-school programming in their elementaries. The last piece I'll say on Success and Wellness programming is I wanted to highlight some of those new legal requirements that have come down in the last year or so. So for the suicide and violence prevention for our 6th graders, we're doing Erica's Lighthouse. That's a free evidence-based program. For our 7th and 8th graders and our health at the high school, we're doing Signs of Suicide. For 7th and 8th graders, that meets the requirement for that SAVES Act, suicide and violence prevention. Greenleaf typically comes in and does that for us. Our middle school health teachers reached out to me and said, hey, we'd really like to implement this ourselves. Is there any way we could do that? So Mrs. Dodones and I worked together, and we had some middle school funding, the Title I Expanding Opportunities Grant. So we were able to buy them the curriculum and get them the training so that they can really just embed that as part of their health classes. Sources of Strength, which your little goodie bags are from our students at Sources of Strength, that meets that SAVES Act requirement for suicide and violence prevention at the high school. And that's paid for by Ohio Suicide Prevention Foundation funding, and then Also, some of the AG safety grant helps pay for some of the campaigns that the students do around the school. Start with Hello is our social inclusion programming for the SAVES Act. Again, that's a free programming, and our district staff will be will be implementing the lessons that are required for 6 through 12. And then we talked a little bit about Aaron's Law, but the sexual abuse prevention and violence prevention requirements, we were able to use Rethink Ed to meet that requirement. And the last piece that's required with the new DEW is that we have to say who our community partners are. So we clearly have many partners, but for the purposes of this reporting, these are the 3 primary partners for supporting our success and wellness programming. And then that's all I have. What questions do you all have for me?
And then for the start with Hello social inclusion instruction, are we doing that this year? The mandate starts officially next year, but are we doing it this year?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
I
The mandate
guess-
officially starts next year.
I
No,
thought
I
it was
mean,
this
it's not
year.
a bad thing. Social
Yeah.
inclusion. I mean, some of the mandates that we get are good things. We
Yes.
would appreciate if they paid for them. But some of the stuff like Aaron's Law, it's a good thing. Like
Yes.
these are things that start good conversations and empower our students. Like some of the stuff that we get is very good stuff.
Yes.
But
Yeah, so we did start with Hello K-12 at the beginning of the year, but there are specific lessons that have to be given to our 6 through 12. So it's actually in the scope and sequence. Our middle school counselors and school social workers are doing that in January instead of their Rethink Ed lesson that month. And then Mr. Smith and I are brainstorming ways. We really want some of it to be youth-led at the high school, so it's not just sit and get from an adult. So we're trying to figure all that out. We've met a couple times, and there's some new funding from ADM to maybe bring in another community partner. So we're going to look at what all of our options are, but we do plan to implement that in the spring.
what was the angel tree delivery? I'm not familiar with that one.
Yeah, so
I know what all the rest are. I don't know what that one is.
So we really, our community's been amazing this year. We had, in addition to the 50 Thanksgiving boxes, we had 3 community organizations reach out for Angel Tree. So Ben Curtis, Western Reserve Hospital, and Community Vineyard. So Western Reserve donated gifts for 50 students. Ben Curtis donated for 25 students. And then Community Vineyard donated for 40 students. So the social workers and counselors, we've been busy in November and December trying to gather all those lists, and then when the gifts come in, distributing and doing lots of home visits to make sure that the gifts are get to the homes. So
I had a question about, so we go back to the panorama results, we talked about challenging feelings and emotional regulation are areas that we're still struggling with, and obviously those are like self-fulfilling prophecies, right?
Go hand
You
in
know,
hand.
like you can really start with either one because they're just going to keep feeding each other in a loop. So as we go forward, are there additional things that we could do to try to improve those? Like, obviously what we're doing is helping because we're seeing little bumps here, but we're still seeing those kind of down. We're in the lower, like, you know, nationally more, we're in the lower rankings on those. Are there additional things we can do, or do we just kind of ride the wave with what we're doing and think that those things over time will make a difference?
I think it's a little bit of everything you just said. So keep in mind, this survey was administered mid-October. So the best case scenario, students had one Rethink Ed lesson. So the hope is really, as they continue to get those monthly from their counselor. And then I know a lot of, especially elementary, they're doing morning meetings and things like that to try to supplement. So the hope is that tier 1 will really help continue to help us trend in the right direction. The other piece is looking at that student level data and providing some more tier 2 and tier 3 supports for the students who really, really are struggling with regulation. So it's really that tiered approach. Do you have any other thoughts or?
No, I was just asking the question.
Okay.
I don't know the answer. I don't claim to know the answer, but I just want to know, because I just want to, there are things that we can do. I certainly want to try to find ways to do them for our students, because when you think especially about emotional regulation, I think that probably is impacting academic gains.
Absolutely.
Because if I'm a kid that struggles with emotional regulation and something happened that upset me this morning, I'm not in the right headspace to be an active participant in my learning today.
Yep. Yeah.
Or maybe I'm going to try to find a way to get out of going to school at all. And so those are two things that we're struggling with on the academic side of things. So, you know, obviously education's the number one. So tie these things into how is it making it possible for our kids to be best educated as well. So
Yeah, 2 other thoughts, and I know I'll stop.
no.
So you saw that picture of our social workers. They've been invited, this sort of happened organically, to various buildings to talk about trauma-informed classrooms, but what they're really talking about is regulation. How do we help our kids regulate, and how do we as adults stay regulated or regulate ourselves when we are dysregulated, so that we can help our students? Because when we as adults aren't regulated, we can't help our students. So really diving back into that neurosequential model work we started a couple years ago, but they're just doing it really at the grassroots level with the teachers. So I think that speaks to some of the mindset shift that you were talking about. And it's baby steps, you know. And the other thing, we're really trying to move to like integrating more PBIS into this work. So I don't want to get ahead of myself and spill any beans, but I've had some conversations with different building principals who have some ideas about programming to address some of the things that you're talking about. So we don't want to just keep layering on more and more programming, not be able to decide what's working and what isn't, but I think there are certainly some areas where we could beef up some of our programming.
And I think understanding that these are, you know, a lot of these things that kids are struggling with in this area are health diagnoses. I think we still struggle as a society to understand that, because, you know, if a kid was struggling in our classroom because they were dealing with a health diagnosis, you know, physical ailment, you know, we would do anything we can for that kid, and the community would rally around them. But when they're struggling because of a mental health diagnosis, we still see othering of them, because that's emotional dysregulation, that's distracting, that's disturbing, and we still have work to do on that as a society as a whole.
Yes.
But it's health. It's
Yeah.
health. It's all health.
And I appreciate working for a board that sees it that way.
I appreciate all this. I think after the next, I'm gonna ask the board for their thing. After the next administration of the panorama, do you want just to receive the information as paper and then go from there? And then if you want a presentation, we can decide from there, but do you wanna just receive the information?
That's perfect.
Something similar to this,
I know
just,
Holly's okay with that.
Yeah.
I'll do whatever you want.
So if we could just get, after the next one, you have time to process it, if we could get the panorama data in the kind of the same format to compare and contrast and just see.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want anything with Rethink Ed in the spring?
If you have anything, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you
for your time.
Appreciate it.
Great work.
We appreciate you. On to item E, Treasurer CFO's Business Consent Agenda, Ms. Stoykoy.
Thank you. I'd like to recommend the Board Board of Education approve all items listed in the treasurer's consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion?
Just point out the donation, there's one, from Steve Anderson, so $25 gift card worth, $625 worth to students and families at Roberts Middle School. So, appreciate that.
Yes, thank you. Please call the roll.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Ms. Coco?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye. Item F, Treasurer CFO's business, Ms. Stoikoi.
I'd like to recommend the Board of Education approve the November 2023 investment schedule and monthly spending report.
So moved.
Second. Discussion?
Yeah, just a couple of quick things. We'll look at interest. Really nothing out of the ordinary this month. Typical. We did have another little uptick in interest. So our highest month thus far. So you can see where that is. We were a little under 400,000. As you know, some of that has to do with timing, and then obviously we're starting to dwindle down some of those balances. So that high of numbers is not an expectation going forward, but they're still giving us a good return on our investment.
Is Huntington just not going to change their practice at all? Did they make a determination?
I have reached out to them with no real clear answer. You know, it kind of keeps getting pushed. I will follow up with them again and see where they're at, because they were supposed to do some things the last time the Fed changed.
I just think that's kind of crazy they haven't moved at all with
Right.
such high interest rates.
Right. So I will check with them again. But yeah, the last they were kind of in a limbo, didn't really give me an answer
Well,
necessarily.
the Fed just met again and said they're not lowering rates, so we've got,
Yep. So I will follow up with them and see now that, you know, that's come out and everything, if they've got any more definitive going forward, so.
thank you.
Yep. And then we'll just take a look at the general fund again. Pretty typical, for this time of year. Not a whole lot of activity, revenue wise. Pretty steady in our expenditures compared to, previous years. So we are at about 21,600,656, which is a little under where we were last year at this time. That's not typical. We're still better than 2022. So that's not unusual, I should say. Not terrible, but that's not unusual. Partially with negotiations this year, and paying, like I said, paying that stipend, as I mentioned last month, had us about a million. We finished paying those out this month of November for SEIU and administrators, getting their retro payments back to the beginning of the year, and for SEIU, some of them, that was all the way back to July 1st, our custodial staff, our year-round staff. And then there are those stipends that everybody received, so, it's pretty much in line where we should be right about now. Again, December will be another month very similar to November, and then January we'll start receiving those advances on, second half, well, first half technically, second half for us. First half real estate, for 2023 and 2024. Everything else is new roll.
Any questions or comments from the board? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Ms. Coco?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Thank you. Your comments?
I do not have much, because as you can tell, I'm kind of losing my voice and coughing every other second. But I did just want to wish everyone a happy new year and happy, safe holidays and a good break, and hope everybody gets some time to relax after all the craziness. Well, at least that's what I'm hoping for myself. It doesn't seem like a reality right now, but hopefully it will be, at least for maybe a day or two. So, but all is not calm in my house usually. So, I can imagine that. So.
Thank you. Item G, Superintendent CEO's Business Consent Agenda. Dr. Selico.
Thank you. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve all items listed on the superintendent's consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Some routine appointments in personnel, coaches, extra duties, substitutes, some classified additions. We also have in there the high dosage tutoring that we're required to do, which is it's been a challenge, but we were able to get a number of teachers to participate and take advantage of this. It will be an online, or virtual tutoring sessions with our students that are identified at risk. And then we also have that math stipends for professional development there regarding the math pilot.
Just a note, because I don't think it's in there, on the high dosage tutoring that is going to be paid for out of Title I funds.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. We have a field trip for the wrestling team, the tournament, that's girls wrestling. We also have the Western Reserve agreement. Mr. Johnson's ahead of the game on this. This is for next year, for our contract with them for the sports medicine. The other two are related to our prom, and then lastly, we have an agreement for a special needs student.
Questions or comments from the board? I'm excited. We got a couple more bus drivers.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Wanted to
I was going
highlight
to
that
mention
piece
that.
as well. We also
Thank you.
have another cleaner at the high school who's a graduate of the high school. We always enjoy when we get to hire graduates, and another female in the ranks of our custodial ranks, which is good, but also needed because we need female custodians for event coverage. So that's good to see as well. I also want to give Mrs. Hausman a shout out for some creative thinking on the high dosage tutoring, because she's kind of creating our own in-house programming that is compliant with the state law and ultimately saves us money while allowing our staff who voluntarily choose to take on this additional task an opportunity to make some additional money by taking on this task as well. So it's a win-win for our district, and of course helps our students that need that work. So thank you. Okay, please call the roll.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Ms. Coco?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Item H, Superintendent CEO's Business, your comments.
Thank you. Just to carry on in the theme with all the service learning projects and under Holly's direction, I know this, I really do appreciate the social workers and going above and beyond to provide such great opportunities for our community. We've been doing a lot of networking among Holly, Christine, myself, just kind of getting out there and really having some generous donors. And I know we have one coming from the Chamber of Commerce as well from their fundraiser this Friday night. So really appreciative to all of them. We had our shop and drop event. We had our Soups Troops shopping. We went to 4 stores, and the students were just absolutely amazing. So mature, articulate, polite, like on the ball. I just really sat back and was able to just kind of delegate and watch, and they took the lead. Very well organized. We were able to buy gifts for 24 children, several for each student. So Monday, we met in here, a few staff members, teachers, counselors, administrators, and wrapped those gifts, and then Monday will be our culminating event, and I know you're all aware of that. On Monday evening from 6 to 8, we'll have lots of festivities for our families, and so grateful to be able to do that. We also, obviously have a lot of events. I'm sure you'll all speak about them. We're all busy every night. Things happening in the district, and some great stuff, really creative. PTAs are amazing here, and PTOs of different events that they put on. I really enjoy seeing all those events that happen in the evening. And then lastly, I don't know if it's lastly, I wanted to just comment on the events, the last couple days with the hoaxes. I don't know if that's the right word for plural for hoax, but I say plural because we have, it is not uncommon for copycat copycats to happen after these big events. We see it, I've been doing this a very long time. We've had, unfortunately, many of these threats, and it's not uncommon to see this. So, doing our best to communicate. I've responded to some parents to let them know that these decisions aren't made in isolation. Like, I don't just sit by myself in a room and think of something to put out to parents. I'm in collaboration with Ben, our security supervisor, with Ryan, our director of security, with our police chief. We have connections now with Ben through the FBI, directly. So we've really done our due diligence. I'm taking the advice of those that are specialists in this field. While I know probably have a little more better pulse on what our parents now want and community, want to hear in our messaging, sometimes we're just advised not to always give all the details for various reasons, and be glad to, have further discussions on that. But we do our best to communicate. I believe in transparency. I am rather over communicate than under communicate, and I will tell people what I can when I can. So, those are always kind of lose-lose situations. You're always going to upset some people, and you don't say enough, you say too much, So I just, ask parents to, be patient, and I ask our students to not contribute to the copycats. I've asked Mr. Smith to make an announcement to the students to let them know that if they are given something via social media, don't spread it. By passing it to student to student to student, now you've incited a whole lot of people, unnecessarily. So we're asking them not to do that and to rather report it. And we are acting on every one of the tips we get. Officer Davis is very active. The chief is involved. I mean, we are not taking these things lightly. The FBI deemed this a hoax early on. We knew that there were no threats based on what the FBI and local law enforcement were telling us. So we just followed their lead. So it was all over the news, and would encourage parents to refer to the news if there are these things happen in the future, rather than relying maybe on social media. Let's get our facts from the news directly, or call me directly, or whatever it may be, our district. So it's been a little bit of a rough couple of days, but I think hopefully we weathered it. We didn't have one today, so that's good, but I do anticipate potentially more, before the holidays. But with that, also want to echo what Mrs. Stoikoi has said, which is just that everyone enjoy some time off, enjoy your holidays, whatever you celebrate. I know I'm looking forward to a little bit of time off myself, so, and I wish all of you the same. So, thank you, and my team.
Thank you, Dr. Zelka. Item I is board business. Number 1 is the President Pro Tempore. To recommend the Board of Education elect blank as President Pro Tempore to preside over the organizational meeting to be held on Wednesday, January 3rd, 2024. We need a motion and a second first.
So moved.
Second.
And then we'll open it to nominations.
I'd like to nominate Mr. Gomez.
Are there any other nominations? Okay. Hearing none, I'll close nominations and ask Ms. Stoikoi to call the roll with my name in the blank.
Ms. Coco?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Thank you. Number 2 is to amend our treasurer's contract. To recommend the Board of Education amend the administrative contract between the Cuyahoga Falls Board of Education and Ms. Christy Stoikoi, Treasurer CFO.
So moved.
Second. Comments, discussion? I'd like to start. So, in looking at our treasurer's contract, we know that we just went through negotiations with all 3 of our unions, and since the previous board approved a 5-year contract for Ms. Stoikoi, we've also brought in a superintendent. And in looking at treasurer's contracts in our area, and just looking at the base salary, Ms. Stoikoi's current base salary is below average and dropping for just average treasurer salaries in the area. And we often talk about how we think we have the best treasurer and she's award-winning in all these things. But then we look at her contract, and we haven't reflected that. So when we want to retain somebody that we say is the best treasurer in the world, we haven't, as a board, done the work to put that into a contract to show that we actually want to retain this person. And so, in looking at that, we sat down and looked at base salaries and addressed that. We also looked at Dr. Selico's contract and noticed that we, as a board, employ two people, the superintendent and the treasurer. And for whatever reason, the fringe benefits did not match. So we've given Dr. Selico fringe benefits that we have not given to our treasurer. So we addressed that as well. So going forward, we're addressing those two things in this amendment, and it just didn't seem fair in giving her a 5-year contract because she's wonderful and we want to keep her and give her that stability, that we would hamstring her and continue to see her salary fall lower and lower and lower in comparison to others. So that's the impetus for bringing this forward, and it just shows that it puts into action the words and the compliments that we give her. So I wanted to start the discussion with that. Other comments from board members?
Well said. It's very well said.
Ditto.
Yeah, ditto.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Ms. Coco?
Aye.
Yay.
Thank you very much. If I could
Best
just
in the world.
say,
Yep.
that's best cup of coffee in the world.
You did it.
I really do appreciate, we've discussed before, my background, also very similar to Dr. Selico's in our previous, positions, and so, the support and confidence and trust, that the 5 of you and previous members of the board, have given me is I think more than you can really imagine, because when you've not had that, it's a very difficult job to do. Even if you are good at the numbers part or good at some other things, it makes it very difficult to do. And so I really enjoy being here. I enjoy the staff. I enjoy my staff. Everyone here is committed to doing what is best for students, and that's why I got into this in the first place, was to be around my parents were both teachers, and everyone else in my family is, and it kind of just wound up that same path, just a little different. So I really do appreciate everything that you guys have done and the support you've given me over the years. So.
Most welcome and deserving.
Thank you. Item 3 is a school year 2024-2025 calendar first read. You'll see that attached here. We also received copies of that, and the calendar hearing was earlier tonight. I also gave Dr. Selico something to share with Ms. Bogdan. There's some information that the board is supposed to receive on school hours and different things that can be included, and to be given to us as to whether or not that's included in these calculations, and that'll be given to us before we take action, which would be at the January 17th meeting, because it wouldn't be at the organizational meeting because that's not 30 days. So January 17th is when we can first take action on this, and I would just hopefully we can in the future, I think it would be nice if we can find ways to try to solicit more feedback from families as well too. I know some other districts that I could point out that do, I think, a good job of just trying to get feedback from families as well. And I think we know the next calendar we do after this is going to be a very different calendar because that'll be the opening of our new building. So, okay. Number 4 is a policy rescission. To recommend the Board of Education rescinds the following policy: IGCF-R, home instruction. Yes.
So moved.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Ms. Coco?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez.
Aye. Thank you. Number 5 is policy adoption. It's recommended that the Board of Education adopts the following policies. Those are in Section B, Section D, Section E, Section G, Section I, Section J, and Section K. They are previously reviewed at the last Board of Education meeting. Is there a motion?
Oh, we need a motion. So moved. Or did
Second.
Any discussion?
Sorry. I missed that.
I just note that we just today got our next set of policies, so get excited. They're coming soon. Literally today, this afternoon, we got the email, so it's coming. Please call the roll.
Mrs. Schaefer? Aye. Ms. White?
Aye.
Mrs. Coco?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Fortuitous timing. Okay. Number 6 is future agenda items. I have to get my Post-it note to keep myself organized.
we have gifted coming up in January?
Yes, I have a whole Post-it note to try to organize
Goodness.
myself.
Mrs. Hausman, get ready to write.
Gifted is gonna be at the January 17th meeting for Ms. Hausman. But first, we have the January 3rd is our organizational meeting, where Ms. White and Mr. Harris will be sworn in. If you're gonna be sworn in by someone other than Ms. Stoiko, if you could let me know by December 31st, so that we could, get that on the agenda. I know that Ms. Coco has expressed an interest in being board vice president, so I just asked if she could talk to Ms. White about that and let me know by December 31st, because so that Ms. Stoikoi can prepare the oath in advance. I'm giving people a lot of things, so get ready to write. There's some conversations about committees for next year, about athletics, so if Ms. Coco and Mrs. Schaefer could talk about that and give me a heads up by December 31st. And then, in reviewing our district wellness policy, the district wellness committee is supposed to have a Board of Education member, and so we discussed having Mrs. Schaefer join that because of her knowledge of nutrition. So I think we were all in agreement that that would be a good thing going forward. So that's for the organizational meeting. One of the other things that we talked about, and I want to circle us back to make sure we close the loop, is whether or not we want to do one-on-ones again next year. And there was a discussion as to whether we do them the same, whether we include we do them with cabinet level admins to try to learn more about what they do to try to understand more, or whether we do them at all. So I know Ms. Coco came up with the idea originally, and then Mrs. Schaefer asked about it. So if the two of you could come up with a recommendation for us for next year, maybe by the end of this year, and maybe we could start the new year. I think whatever you guys come up with, I think we'd probably do. So, thank you. And then we know that next year we want to have a retreat, and I think Dr. Selico is working on getting some dates in April. And with that in mind, I think it's important that January, February, and March, we keep busy with getting a lot of information and updates about what's going on with different things that we know are high level priorities now, because we're going to set new priorities in April. So we need to make sure we're doing a lot of work in January, February, and March to be as informed as possible going into April, so that we can make positive decisions for the future. So I know we have gifted in January. I've also talked to Dr. Selko and Mrs. Hausman about the need for either at the January 17th or January 24th meeting to get an update about where we are with math adoption, and as well with literacy going forward because of the new laws with that. And I know in January we're going to start strategic plan updates. We might need to be on a little bit of a heightened schedule for that to wrap those up by the end of March, so that when we go into our retreat, we probably need all of that information by the time we go into the retreat to be able to make decisions for the future. Does that make sense? Because it's gonna kind of be hard to know whether or not we include something in a future plan if we don't know kind of where it's at right now. Does that sound?
Yeah, and we discussed, potentially me giving a brief presentation,
Yeah.
Maybe in January, February. It looks like, I don't know if we're filled up in January.
Maybe
Certainly
February,
February might be a
yeah.
better month. And then, just a polite reminder that, Deborah's calendar does fill up. So she said we should probably get to her by January, because she said January it starts to fill up for April.
Yeah, does she have specific dates in April?
Yeah,
that
she gave, I'll have to look back in Friday notes. It was a while
Yeah,
back,
I don't think
when
I
showed
got
it.
specific dates for April. I think she gave us like broad.
I'll look back.
Yeah, that would be helpful. And then in January, we also, on the 17th and 24th, we need to work on our formative evaluations for superintendent and treasurer. And then in January, we can discuss, legally, we can start discussing the superintendent's contract. Not till after December 31st. So there's a lot coming. I mean, we're gonna enjoy this break from tonight until January 3rd, but we have a lot of work ahead of us and a lot coming in the first 4 months of the new year, but I think it's gonna be valuable work and enjoyable work because we're gonna set the stage for the future of our students. And then, as we know, we also have the ELL presentation either February or March as well. And there was a new ELL curriculum that we adopted last year that will probably be in that update as well. So there's a lot of work ahead. And I'm hoping somewhere in there we can get an update on some of the attendance pieces that we're doing. We get overall numbers on the attendance, but it'd be nice to see some of our initiatives. I know, like, we're talking about considering becoming a stay in the game district and different things like that. But I know Rebecca's working really hard, and it'd be nice to kind of know what the effective strategies are going forward, because I know that's probably going to become an even stronger focus probably going forward.
Yeah, I really do think it's making a difference. I mean, not enough of an impact, but because there's so much to keep up with, but certainly we're doing things that we have not been doing in the past, which
Yeah.
is good.
So it's gonna be a busy first
Yeah.
few months of the year, but I just kind of wanted to throw that out as we end this year, that we do have a lot coming ahead of us, but we should be proud of what we've accomplished yet. More on that in a little bit. Anything else? Or any main things that I missed? Got your contract in there. So you're good.
I think that's enough to keep us plenty
Yeah.
busy.
I think we'll be busy, but in a good way, because I think these are all really good things and exciting
Yeah.
things and impactful things that make a difference for our families and our students. Okay, committee reports, number 7. 612 core construction team, you had a meeting.
Yes, we did. We met, and what I got was the early site development is complete. The 612 building, which they call number 1, the concrete is complete. The football stadium, retaining walls are in. They still need some aggregate piers for certain parts of it, and the grandstand as well. In buildings 2, 3, and 4, the foundations are starting to be poured. And the masonry in building 2 is complete, working on that in building 3 in the courtyard. Exterior framing, building 1 is closed in now, so they can get the heat on and start working inside. The interior framing and all that kind of thing, HVAC, plumbing, electrical, all those exciting things. But, it has to be done, drywall as well. And then Dominion gas, that is complete, except for the gas to the building that is coming, and the gas house will also be coming. The road widening, as we're aware, they're kind of waiting on the light for it to be approved by the city, the lights, the direction. So
That's kind of, but that should begin bidding in January to February. And so then they can order and try to begin that, so that it's done by next August before school starts. Furniture, and Bolick abatement will be October 2024, the bids for those things. TDA design, they kind of met with Ryan, I believe, and went over some of the, tech and the wiring and so on, and especially for security, I think was the main thing there. And, so they're kind of looking at that, and I think, I should say Mr. Hodge, did send us something in the packet about, that was looked at, and so they're getting to where they need to be, especially for the auditorium and the speakers. The sound system there was really, I think they wanted to put the speakers behind the curtains.
We had a really great meeting
Okay.
this afternoon.
Okay.
Mr. Fry and I, and we feel pretty confident
Okay.
with what has been proposed today.
Okay.
So,
Okay, good. I knew you were meeting about that. And so, and that was basically what we had. And then, I think that was it really. The E-rate virtual network and then fiber in a couple of days, they said would go in. So that was for core, pretty much.
Have we had any movement on the projectors? Are we still haggling on that?
we're not haggling yet. We're waiting for we're waiting for them to come back with some more information.
Okay,
So,
thank you. Do we have Mr. Guestford involved in the security piece on that as
Yeah.
well?
so what
Yes.
we
Okay,
actually had a
sorry,
meeting
I
with
just want-
him and the architects just to familiarize him a little bit more. He's already walked the site, but to sit down and look at the floor plans, really get a sense for how the building's gonna function.
Okay,
So we're tuning him more and more into the construction project.
awesome, thank you.
Yep.
And then I have a question probably for you about the furniture package. When we do the bid on the furniture, is it like specific pieces of furniture that like, these are the types of furniture we've decided that we want, and then different companies that provided are bidding on that? Cause I know you are having a say in this furniture.
Oh,
That's why I'm directing it to you.
Yeah.
well, a little bit more concerned about the colors, but, no, actually, what will happen is we will bring samples in and all of that and actually let teachers see them.
They did that once
Did we do
already.
that already?
We did that in
Okay.
here, yeah.
Then we probably will work off of that information. My guess is that, yeah, we know what we need and want. I mean, they're
Okay.
pretty standard in buildings, so they'll guide us in that TDA. And then they would spec that out, right, and put those in the requests for proposals.
When they get to that point, I think we'd be interested in just seeing
Mm-hmm.
what we're like putting out for bid, cause we saw like what was in here.
Yeah.
But I know that that's something that we're,
Yeah.
a piece of the pie that we're particularly
It's a
interested
big
in.
purchase, yeah. It's gonna be millions of dollars in furniture.
Not that we're gonna like, not that we're gonna sit here and go through it and try to change our
Yeah.
mind, we're just kinda interested in seeing
Yeah.
what was decided upon.
Yeah, we were supposed to have a design team meeting and it got canceled before, it was just this week, I think. Maybe tomorrow was supposed to be. So I'll check in with them, it won't be till after break, but I know we're gonna start that phase soon.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else have anything?
Oh, I just wanna say I'm not normally on State Road to see the building, but I was driving on State Road and I could see the building from State Road, which I had never looked that direction before, and it's very cool to see it's getting closed up,
Yeah.
and, yeah, I'm very
Underwood.
excited.
That's really cool. Beautiful.
It is.
Okay. Business Alliance Council, did you have a meeting yesterday?
We did have a meeting
Okay.
yesterday, yes, and I feel like a short recap isn't enough to explain and go over all the exciting things that are happening.
You can
There.
follow up with the email.
What?
You can follow up with the
I
email.
know, I'll need to follow up with an email. I think, well, typically, we've got the 5 different groups that I've explained before that we split off into, everyone that attends, and we have our goals, and they turn green and yellow and red and all of that. And I'm going to forward that to everyone to see exactly where those are at with the 5 groups. So yesterday, instead of spending as much time separate, we spend the majority of the time together and going over our goals individually as groups, presenting at where we're at so far for this year, and to see where any overlap between the different groups are. everything from internships to career night to job shadowing to opportunities for our students. And really, the whole big picture is that all the work that's being done are these community members who want to support our goal of having our students either enrolled, enlisted, or employed, and will help with our graduation rates as well. And there's such a big opportunity, and it's exciting to see this group growing and seeing them pulling in more and more people from their organizations. One gentleman, actually from community, he's the pastor at Community Vineyard. I think he said that 7 of his people at his church have signed up for eye care just now, so that'll be more people coming through. But yeah, so I will send out a bigger recap, but it's almost something that there's so much exciting work going on that it's almost something that needs its own presentation. But it's very, very exciting to see our community members that are so committed to the success of our students.
I mean, I'm gonna add one thing to it. I mean, I know I joined in the middle of the year with this, but this meeting stood out to me compared to other ones. Nothing against the other meetings, but I love seeing everyone come together and seeing that overlap. We were all chiming in on each other's work, seeing how we could help each other. So, and like Ms. Coco said, it continuously grows, which is fantastic too. So we're doing great work.
And stay tuned. Please mark your calendars for the career fair in February. It will be different than previous career fairs. It is a work in progress, and I'm sure something that will be built upon year after year, little by little. And then also the 6th District Compact, January 10th, has an event at Kent State. It's a career program showcase from 4:30 to 6. That showcases all of the programs that are available. And it's really cool because that happens right before our students come to our career fair in February. So they will have seen all of that before they come to our career fair.
Thank you both. Foundation Alumni Association, we met last evening. Another reminder that it is time to renew for 2024. If you have not yet, we want to make sure you do that. You could do it online at cfsfaa.org, or if you're like me and you don't like PayPal, you can bring a check to a Top Tigers meeting and give it to Mr. Metcalf, and he will get that cash for you. We reviewed our committee structure. One of the things we're trying to do is just get more awareness of ourselves out in the community. So we talked about how we're going to do that more in the new year. And one of the other things we're doing is tracking all of our scholarships to make sure that we're aware of when we encumber our funds, and so that we can be a sustainable organization years into the future. So that's really important to us. But as we do these membership campaigns and send things out, we're seeing a really good return on investment in that, and this getting a lot of great connections from that. One thing that was mentioned and noticed is that as people hit a 50-year reunion, that's usually when they start giving more. So as people hit that 50 years out of high school, that's when the giving seems to increase. We certainly want to connect more on the Alumni Association. That is for everyone, but on the foundation end, we seem to get more people once they've hit that 50th reunion mark. So that was very interesting as well. What was the other? Oh, one other thing that we talked a lot about was how we want to modify our scholarship application process, because one thing that we've run into is students not applying for their funds that they've received from us. So we're giving students scholarships that they've earned, and then they're never asking for those funds from us. So we're putting something in that if it's a one-year scholarship, they have to ask for those funds within a year, or they come back to the foundation. Now, if there's extenuating circumstances, they reach out. We'll we will work with them on that. But we're having students that we've awarded, in one case, a $10,000 scholarship to, who came back to us and said, oh, I got a full ride, I don't need that. But yet, that's a $10,000 scholarship that could have gone to somebody that really did need it, and we could have made a bigger impact. So we're having, one, we want to know that so that we can unencumber those funds and send it back to the foundation and make those available for future students. But two, we want to talk about how do we make our application process in such a way that we capture that information from students. Because maybe that's a student then that we would have given $1,000 to for books, and that would help them meet that need for books. But then maybe we would have geared that $10,000 to a student that had the actual need for tuition. So we're having those conversations as well.
When does your scholarship, when does it open up this year?
December 21st. Legislative Liaison, Mr. Harris.
Yeah, a couple updates. The State Board of Education announced the new state superintendent of public instructions, Paul Kraft. Mr. Kraft is currently the superintendent of Buckeye Valley Local Schools. He'll be starting January 1st. The House and Senate are in session. I checked for updates as of 4:30. Couple of the bills that they were possibly going to be taking up today, House Bill 8 is the Parents' Bill of Rights. This bill would allow parents to opt their students out of certain curriculum they deem inappropriate based on its sexuality content. It would also prohibit districts from keeping changes in the health of students from parents. And the school district is also prohibited from encouraging the student to hide these issues from their parents. House Bill 68.
One second.
Yeah.
The Senate kept that in committee. They didn't
Did
vote
they?
that out
Okay.
in committee yesterday. So that didn't make it to the floor
That didn't
today.
make it to the floor today. Good. House Bill 68 did and passed the Senate. This is the bill that would ban gender-affirming care for trans youth and bans trans kids from participating on sports teams. Again, that passed 24-8 and is heading to Governor DeWine's desk. Mr. Gomez, did you want to mention those two? Because I didn't catch that.
Yeah, they passed 2 amendments in committee before it came out that are good. So Dion Manley is my good friend. He's on the Kahana Jefferson School Board. He's the first openly transgender person to be elected any office in the state of Ohio. He's very happy about these amendments, even though he's not happy about the overall bill. But the 2 amendments that they put into the bill, one is a grandfather clause. So anyone who's currently receiving the care can continue to receive the care. That's very important. And 2, in the original bill, it was that all residential parents had to consent to care. Now in the bill, it's that only one residential parent or guardian has to consent to care. And that's really important as well because parents don't always agree.
Right.
And so as long as one parent agrees, that child can begin to receive gender-affirming care. It's just the medication that the bill is disallowing, but they can receive therapy and other forms of care, and then it would be up to the parent that disagrees to take it up in court. So while that court battle is going out, the child could continue to receive care. So those are good wins to receive, and these are bills that we're going to pass when they introduced them, whether we wanted them to or not. They're going to pass. They had the votes. So for them to give little things like that, it's important because it does make a difference. It makes it a little bit easier for people that are going to be impacted negatively because it gives them just a little bit of hope. And that little bit of hope is sometimes all that people have. And so a little bit of hope is important.
Absolutely. Thank you. House Bill 187. I haven't gotten any updates on my phone or email about that just yet. But it's heading back to the House after passing the Senate. That would change how, and Ms. Stoykoy talked about this last meeting, this would change the how property tax is determined, increase the homestead exemptions. There is a provision that would allow it to go into effect for the 2023 taxes. The Senate, however, did change the focus on financially vulnerable people, I believe, which is the reason it's heading back to the House for them to agree upon. But I know there were the sponsors of that bill were not happy with some of those changes for vulnerable folks. But yeah, I think that's all I have.
Did you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, did you want to?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much echoing what I said last meeting and what Mr. Harris said, there are some provisions in there as far as I've mentioned in many five-year forecasts, further restricting our ability to file complaints or counter complaints with Board of Revisions as well. So it restricts that even further than what it was from a few years ago when they made that change.
That's Dan and Columbus's fault.
So that is also a part of it as well, unfortunately.
That's his fault though, because he found that loophole, and they're really mad about it.
I'm really mad that they did it in the first place.
Thank you, Ms. Stokley.
It's the Senate version is way better than the House version overall. Like if we have to choose a version,
Yeah.
that's definitely the version
Yeah.
we want to pass. They're gonna pass one, but maybe they made the House so angry that they just won't agree at all. That would be great for us.
Really
If
would.
nothing passes because they're so mad at each other. Because I think
No, Mrs.
today's supposed to be their last day of session. So that would,
So,
of
yeah.
the year, and then it would be too late for anything to go in effect because the bills are gonna go out. So that would be
Yeah.
phenomenal. Like, let's hold out hope for that one. Okay, thank you, Mr. Harris. Student Achievement Liaison, Ms. White?
Yes, we actually met today, and our first activity was keeping our eyes closed and drawing a snowman. And to see how well we did, this is mine.
Are you framing it?
No. It's pretty bad. But at any rate, we kind of dove into, the focus was on content skills rigor and Bloom's taxonomy, which is evaluation, analyzing, synthesizing, or creating, as it's, I guess, changed, still same thing, but yes. So, and then they went into their building groups and decided what, looking at lessons in their teachers' manuals, what lessons align to the standards, and tried to focus on seeing how that could, how they could take that and go through. And then they also focused on what they wanted to stop doing, start doing, and maybe try to start kind of up going into, I guess, is how you want to. So, things that they maybe do, but not a lot, so move that way. And I heard a lot of, for start doing, applying the standards across the curriculum, especially academic vocabulary that the kids might need to understand something to do that. So focus on the standards came up more and more, and to build on that. A look at the curriculum the standards are the curriculum. That's how you want to put it. And then I heard vertical alignment and to set high expectations. Also at my table, they mentioned that they'd like to have grade level meetings and we could Zoom and do that. And I thought that was interesting, a good thing. They want to stop teaching non-standard projects and again, focus on the standards in the curriculum and stop giving homework just to give it. I think sometimes we give too much homework to our students. They also like the idea of being on team-based teams, and they want to broaden that to more. So I thought that was really good. Somebody said to stop independent teaching. I don't know who that was or what that means, because okay. And what it means is just being all shut in your room and not being with others. So that, we would like to, they would like to maybe do lesson planning together and so on. So that was interesting too. Stop complaining, stop complacency was some of the other things. And then attendance was brought up, which we know that's a problem. And then finally, as I mentioned, going through the teacher manual and trying to get one of the lessons that was best aligned. And we're really trying to go into teacher clarity. And basically what that is when you get a standard, knowing what the nouns are and then what the verbs are, and actually what that standard is trying to tell you and the kids to do. So I think that's important work, and that's kind of, I think that's it in a nutshell of what we did. And I did have to leave early to get here, so sorry about that, but.
You know what's exciting is that several of the things they mentioned will be easier to do in our new 612 building.
yeah,
Such as
definitely.
planning
That's true.
together, and if, you know, they desire to do like co-teaching and teaching out in spaces, they will have more opportunities to do that because our building will be configured to give them more options to do that. And I say options intentionally because it's not necessarily forced to do that every day, all time.
Exactly.
But there's gonna be more options to do that if that's something that they desire to do. And we hope that they'll see positive things from that, wanna do it more. So that is exciting to hear those things and know that in our new building, we're gonna give them more opportunities to do those things.
Exactly.
Thank you, Ms. White. Item 8 is comments. Mrs. Schaefer's up first.
Well, I just wanted to highlight all of the cool things happening in the district the last couple weeks. I was able to go to quite a few things, not as many as I had hoped, but one thing that I enjoy every year is the holiday concert here at the high school. I love when the Symphonic Band plays Sleigh Ride. It brings back memories from back in the older times when, the 1990s, when a young Carrie Schaefer got to play that. They should have an alumni band for that one, Sleigh Ride. Just throwing that out there.
Talk tomorrow? Talk tomorrow?
I'm gonna mention it to the Alumni Association. Yes, the band alumni. Great concert. I was really impressed with all of the bands this year. I felt like there's 4 bands, a freshman band, and then the 3 bands for non-freshmen. And the freshman band was really good. And they were all really good. Like, you couldn't tell, like, you know, who spent more time on what. It was really, I was very, very impressed. And then I got to pop into the middle school band concert, which I did not realize until Mr. Gomez pointed out to me that was the first time that the bands played together. So Roberts, you know, they practice, and Bullock practices. That was the first time they were all on stage together, which is very cool because if you've played in a group, it's hard to put 2 groups together to make one big group, especially for inexperienced musicians. So I think they did a great job. One of my favorite parts is when 6th grade plays together because they're new. They've gone from picking an instrument in the fall to playing music with each other in just a few short months. It's very cool. They should be very proud of themselves. I got to go to the Preston Candyland, get my picture taken with Stripes. And I got to see the Gummy Bear song for the kindergartners. I have a friend whose daughter is in kindergarten, and she was just so very excited to the Gummy Bear song. It was a great show. Lots of people there. It was really nice to see all the parents there supporting the kids, and they had it spaced out very nicely. So kindergarten was here, and then kindergarten kind of left out of the gymnasium, and then the next group came in. I think it was organized pretty well. And then pop over to Price for the tree lighting. Got our picture taken with Santa Claus.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
And then they had like a Santa shop set up. And I think that was put together really well too. Everything was very organized and set out. It was a pretty well organized event. I enjoyed it. I feel like I'm leaving something out, but that's all I have.
Ms. White?
Yes, I also attended the high school band concert, and it was wonderful. But what I want to point out and give a big shout out is to our band directors. Jennifer Culver, please, I hope I remember all their names, I should know them. Courtney Lambert, Dustin Harris, and thank you, Jim Lang as well, thank you. At any rate, you know, because usually I do watch the students when I'm at these things. But that night, I just was watching them conduct, and the way they move, and the way they conduct. Jennifer Culver is probably one of the most graceful people I've ever seen
conducting. And Jim Lang just bounces with the gold tones. I mean, and I really, all of them, Miss Lambert and Mr. Harris, you know, you can tell that their love of music and how they give that back to the kids. And I just truly was. It was just something to see. So I just shout out to them. And then I also was able to attend Price and Preston, where we had our pictures taken at Preston with Stripes, and then at Price with Santa Claus and got to see the tree lighting. I also went to Roberts. Actually, I went Monday, but I was a day early, really early, you know. And so I went back Tuesday. I don't know how I know. It was, I thought I'd signed up for Monday, but no, it was Tuesday. So I went back and I got to read to 7th graders. And I just amazed at how well behaved. And the books that Miss Gideon picked out were so cute, because one was 10 Ways to Hear Snow. And you don't really think about that. But as I was kind of reading and showing the pictures, I would ask them questions. You know, what is that? What is that like? And they would answer and so on. And then I got to read The Walk, which is about voting. And so, of course, the way I am, because, you know, I like to read and talk. But at any rate, I just said, well, do you know when women got the right to vote? And there was one little guy in the back. Okay, 1920. I said, yes. And then I said, do you know about the civil rights, where they marched, you know, to get rights and get rid of Jim Crow? And they didn't really know too much about that. And then I said, well, when did 18-year-olds get to vote? So I'm giving them all this, I don't think they even knew, but then I read, and it was just so much fun to be there and to read. And I go to Bullock on Friday. Hopefully that's the right day. I'm pretty sure it is, because I double-checked and double-checked. I know. I know. And so just a big shout-out for that program, because it's wonderful, because the kids get a free book. If they don't want to keep it or they don't like any, they can get a book and donate it to, I can't remember who they're, Goodwill or something. Good Neighbors? Yeah. So they get to donate then if they don't want to keep it. But they were very good, 7th graders. They, you know, kind of chuckled and laughed with me and read and just well behaved all the way around. And with that in mind, when I came into the building tonight, I had pretty heavy load. And I'm walking in, and I'm kind of short, so the book bag almost drags on the floor. And there was a young gentleman that was coming down the hall going out the door. And he stopped. Do you need help, ma'am? And I looked at him and I said, no, I don't. I appreciate it. You're asking. And that's just how thoughtful and nice our kids are. Shout out to whoever that was. I don't know, but I sure appreciate it. You know, here's a kid, didn't know me, you know, but just would stop and be so, you know, helpful. So I really wanted to, you know, say that, because I think most of our kids are like that. They're helpful, and they do have compassion and empathy, and they're kind, which to me is very, very important. I would tell you the pin that my granddaughter got me, but I can't, because it has some bad words in it. But be kind or else, basically, that, you know, which she said, that's Mimi. I said, yeah. And so I did not bring an article to read tonight, because I know we had a lot to do. But I do want to wish everybody happy holidays, safe, and spend the time with your family as much as you can. Hold them in your arms while you can. Just be there, because time is precious. As I get older, and I'm probably the oldest person in the room, you know, it's just precious. You never know. And I was reminded of that the other day, and I won't get into it, but just hold your family. Give them hugs, you know, spend a lot of time, as much as you can with them, and don't let that go. But happy holidays to everybody. Thank you.
You forgot. What you forgot was Vespers. Did you want to mention it?
Oh, Vespers.
Sorry,
It was so
for
good.
you.
Thank you so much. I remembered it, and I wasn't going to interrupt, but it was so good. They have a new tradition. They use, I think Vespers, we used to always do the Alleluia chorus
Yeah,
at the end.
they did.
And they have this new tradition. They sing Silent Night. I'm sorry, the crowd, we sing Silent Night, and the choir sings and I can't remember the name of the song, but they sing it and we sing it together at the same time. And I was getting ready to sing, and then there's this gentleman behind me that has this glorious voice. I was like, well, I don't need to sing. He's singing for everyone. And it startled me for a second, but wow, he had a great voice. And they had a really great opportunity. Mr. Al-Hadid had some people come in from Kent State and to sing with the students. They sang like the soul. Oh my gosh, it was so good. If I were someone that was thinking about pursuing music in college, vocal music in college, it was really neat to see. It was really good.
The Silent Night thing is something that happened at the school that Mr. Al-Hadid student taught at, and he brought it with him. He mentioned that at the high school choir concert that I'll talk about when I get to
Oh,
there.
okay, yeah, it was great.
I just wanted to throw that in there.
Thank you.
Ms. Coco?
Yes, I was able to attend a few events as well. The Preston, Price, I know they've all been talked about, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time. I know we still have more things to get through this evening. And then the middle school concert, yes, first time with both middle schools together. They did get to take a field trip the day before and practice together before.
It's impressive.
Yes, but great job in that concert, and my daughter's a flute, so. But it is cool to see those sixth graders that have just started playing instruments, and then see the progression of the seventh graders and eighth graders, and but the sixth graders were really good for hardly playing for like 2 months.
I agree.
So they did a great
There
job.
were some squeaks, but that's how you prove you're really playing.
Right?
You're
Exactly.
trying.
Exactly.
Everyone does it.
I wanted to give a shout out to, I'm sorry, I'm trying to think of your last name right now because it's been such a long day.
Who?
You, sir, yes.
Mr. Bacati.
Thank you. I know your name, I just know you as, I'm sitting here and all I'm thinking in my head is Godfather, Godfather. And it wasn't coming out of my mouth, so thank you. Yes, for your drive a bus event that happened, I wasn't able to make it, but I heard it was great, and I just wanted, thinking outside of the box to find ways to bring people into our district is what we're having to do, and so I just wanted to commend you on that.
Well,
And
that was Margie and
so-
Paula as well. So Margie and I happened to attend a class when we were at Capitol Conference.
Nice.
So that was Margie and Paula that they.
Well,
were
please
recognizing.
commend them as well, the whole group. So, yes, yes, and you know I know your name. It's just that I really wanted that, so,
I don't
yes.
think somebody was behind me.
Right. Miss White shows up to things on the wrong days, I forget. Together, there's 5 of us, we have it all. But there are a lot of events coming up that I'm looking forward to as well. This week, there's an art showcase here at the high school tomorrow. There's an event at Richardson. I'm excited to network at the Chamber of Commerce event on Friday at the Elks as well. And then a special shout out and congratulations to Mrs. Pettit on the Star Award. I was at a play in Talmadge this past weekend with quite a few, I think there were 32 Cuyahoga Falls people that I knew that were there on Saturday evening, and I'm sure more that I didn't know. And quite a few of our students that were in a play, The Best Christmas Pageant Ever. But Mrs. Pettit, I'm not going to give out her address, but I can tell you it's nowhere near Talmadge. And she drove all the way out on Saturday night. There were other staff members there as well that had come out to support our students in this district. And that's the kind of teachers we have here that are just going above and beyond on their own time to show our students that they care. So I just wanted to give her a special congratulations and well-deserved on that. And happy holidays, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm up next. I was also at the Price and Preston events, and there's also a book fair at Preston, and I never turned down a book fair. It's bought a few books for my nephews, and one for me that Miss Lindy looked me straight in the eyes and goes, "You're buying that for yourself." She goes, "It's okay, but I just wanted to know." She goes, "I just wanted to make sure that you're buying that for yourself because your nephews aren't ready to read that yet." She's always on it. She's one of our. She is in all 6 buildings, but she knows those kids. You can't get anything past Miss Lundy. The bus event was wonderful. I drove the bus against my will. Miss Paula made me drive the bus because she's known me since I was in kindergarten, but she said I did okay.
But did she take a video of you?
She did. A video and a picture. I got a picture of Mr. Bugatti driving too.
I have a video, I don't know if I was gonna share with the board, but,
Yeah.
because you guys might try to recruit me. That's
Yeah, right. I have to work on my backing up skills, but otherwise she said I was good. She didn't back it up?
No.
She made me back it up to the fence. Oh, she made me do the whole.
all. You had to back it up.
Oh,
Yeah, but we have 3
hallelujah.
good. She got 3 good candidates out of that they think
Yeah.
could be potential bus drivers. It was a very successful event. So I'm very proud of our people and our bus department for that as well. I also was able to go on building visits with Dr. Salko. We visited Bullock, Richardson, and Price. And at Price, one of the things that really struck me, Ms. Wyckoff mentioned transportation issues that some of her students were having. One of the things she mentioned, because we know she has so many different nationalities represented in her school, one of the issues with her students getting to school that they've mentioned to her is that her families don't take the test to drive because the test isn't available in their languages. So I reached out to Representative Weinstein about that. Well, I reached out to the BMV first, and as usual, they were no help. And then, so I reached out to Representative Weinstein, and I've heard back from him. So the first thing he's doing is he's going to propose legislation to get the Ohio driver manual translated into every language that the test is currently offered in, which includes Arabic, which would help many of our families. And then the other thing I'm pushing him on is to get the test offered in Nepali, which it currently is not offered in. And that's a huge need for our families and just families in this area. The test is not offered in Nepali. The only way to take the driver's test in Nepali is to pay for an interpreter at your own cost, own personal cost. Bring them with you to take the oral exam. And you have to know that you can do that when none of the resources the BMV provides are in your own language. None of the people at the BMV speak your language, and you have to arrange that in advance. So I'm going to keep pushing him on that as well, because if there are things that we can do to address the needs that our families have as a Board of Education, it behooves us to push in ways that we can the political power that we have as elected officials to try to influence our legislators to make differences for our families. So I'll keep pushing on that, and we'll see what we can do. But I'm happy he was responsive thus far. I also attended our Soup Troop Shop and Drop. I really like that event because we get to talk a lot with our little students that are there. I really enjoyed the gingerbread decorating contest. The kids were so excited to tell you like why they decided to do what they did with their little gingerbread. And I also like seeing our older students like taking responsibility for being in charge of those kids and them coming into their own, you know, as seniors and taking that responsibility. It's really powerful, and I think they sense that as well, and they sense that sense of responsibility, and I think that's really powerful for them as well. And I got to stop in and see our 6th grade band perform. The high school choir concert was wonderful as well, and I got my Chipotle last night to support them. And then lastly, I was invited to attend the grand opening of the auditorium at Tuscarawas Valley Local School Districts, because it's also going to be the swearing in of Sally Green as our 2024 OSBA president. So that'll be on January 7th, and I'll be attending, representing our school district.
Thank you.
So I wanted to let you all know about that.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Harris.
I'll be brief, since I'm last here. Congrats to our top Tigers again, to Ms. Pettit, and tonight's graduate. Thank you, Ms. Merkel, for your presentation and to everything you and your team are doing. We really appreciate it, getting that data to us so we can do our jobs better over here. So many events already talked about. I'm very much looking forward to getting my stripes photo with my family framed. I was
So cute.
barely able to make it there to get that photo, so I'm so excited I was able to. And then, I know all the events we do have coming up here. And then I want to thank all of our new folks who came in. Round 1 done, round 2 is coming up here into the new year, so thank you all for everything you've done. To my colleagues, to the doc, Ms. Stoikoi, thank you all for everything. I wish you all a very happy holiday season and a happy new year. Like Mr. Gomez said, we are coming back busy. So rest up. Thank you.
I have one last comment. It's been my tradition as board president at our last meeting of the year to offer a quick recap of what we've accomplished as a board. So this is my brief 2023 recap that will miss many things. It's our second year with the 5 of us as the Board of Education, but it's our first full calendar year with the 7 of us, which is crazy to think about, but it is our first full calendar year with the 7 of us, and that's, I think, powerful to think about. If you look around the room, we've got a lot of new administrators settling in and making important impacts, and we spent a lot of time and did a lot of hard work setting the stage so that we could make that possible in a cost-neutral way for our school district, and I think that's really important as well. Our building is going up enough that we were actually able to walk inside of it. And in the coming year, we'll be able to host tours for certain members of our community, staff, and others to get inside that building as well. For the first time since 2001, our incumbent members of the Board of Education faced no opposition. It was the first time in 22 years that happened. I think that says something about the work that we are doing as a Board of Education, so I'm very proud of that. We successfully negotiated and approved 3 new contracts one with each of our unions that were fair and showed our appreciation to each of them while thinking ahead and respecting the tax dollars that were entrusted in by our voters in our school district. And just tonight, we showed our appreciation to our treasurer to keep her and to continue the good work that she does on behalf of our school district. And most importantly, we only had 1 meeting in December.
Yeah, but we have 3 in January.
That's usual.
I know.
This is unusual, and as we look ahead to 2024, we know we have much more
And
to
I
do.
thought there was no challengers to Agina because it was my charm and person. No.
Maybe, it could be.
I like that, yeah.
But I think we should all be very proud of what we've accomplished
Absolutely.
in this year. Item J is an executive session pursuant to Ohio Revised Code, Section 121.22G6. It is hereby moved the board adjourn to executive session to consider the details relative to the security arrangements and emergency response protocols for a public body or public office if disclosure of matters discussed could reasonably, I'm missing the rest
Could
of
be
the.
reasonable. Or, no.
Oh, is it in your computer?
Could
Just close mine.
be reasonable? I don't know. I can't.
What happened at
Hold on. It's not all there. Could reasonably be applied or something?
I'll look it up.
No. Okay.
Oh, so it's not even on the computer? Anyone have their
Oh, I
computer open?
closed my
I know, I did too.
I wonder if it's on the new, maybe. Got it on that
No, it's not.
new. No. Okay. All right.
Hold.
Yeah, but I don't know when it is. Do you have it on that paper? Lucas is going to save the day.
Oh, good.
Pursuant to Ohio Code Revised 121.2 to G6, Hereby move to the Board of Adjourned executive session to consider details of the
could reasonably be expected to jeopardize the security of the public body or public office. I need a second.
I'll second.
There will be no action after this, so we'll end the recording and live stream after we call the vote. Please call the roll.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Ms. Coco?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer?
We'll be in executive session at 8:13.
Can you say that